So today we'll start discussing on two sample t-test. So in this video particularly I'll discuss types of two sample t-test and I'll try to cover the two sample t-test paired one. For the other two sample t-test, that means independent samples, please check the other video which I'll create. So two sample t-test, what does two sample t-test means? It is not that we are collecting sample two times, right? So there is certain confusion or sometimes student ask, does it mean that we are collecting sample twice? It is not so. We are collecting like any time we are doing a sampling, it will happen only one. For any cross-sectional design which will carry out, we'll be collecting sample only once. Okay, but how we are treating when we are calculating test statistics or whenever we are conducting certain kind of test, statistical test, how we are treating that sample. That means into how many groups we are dividing that sample to conduct the test. So that is how we like conduct, let's say, two sample t-test or ANOVA or any other kind of test. Particularly in two sample t-test, let's say if I give you one example, in a let's say marketing research class or business research class, I want to understand whether male student perform better than female student. I'll take the scores out of 100 marks, how much they are scoring, and if I compare them, so I'm collecting data only once. Let's say out of 330 students, I'll collect data once. What are their total scores in the final examination? But when I'm conducting the test, I'm treating male student as one group, female student as one group. So in that case, it will be called two sample t-test, right? So that's how we define two sample t-test, how we are treating the sample. Like we are collecting data once, but into how many groups or how many categories we are treating that sample. Two sample t-test can be of two types. One is when we treat these samples as independent. Second one is paired. So let's discuss what is independent sample mean. Independent sample means whenever any one respondent, if I take any one respondent, that person, that respondent can be either one of the group. That means he can be either group A or group B, right? So there is no chance that he can be in both the groups. So that's what means like kind of a mutually exclusive groups, right? So one respondent can be either in group A or group B. So like I discussed, if I treat those sample which I have collected as male as one group and female as one group. So any respondent can be either in male group or female group. Let's say I'm collecting data on some social science research. If I conduct a like income group, less than 10 lakh annual income, more than 10 lakh annual income. Okay, so any one respondent can be either in the less than 10 lakh income group or more than 10 lakh income group. So in that case, that is called independent samples, right? When you talk about paired means for the same respondent, I'm collecting two data sets, two point of data. So what it means, let's say some of us have done this blood sugar level test, right? Before breakfast and after breakfast. So what happens for the each respondent, I'm collecting 2 points of data, right? Before breakfast, I collected the or measured the blood sugar level. After breakfast also, I collected the blood sugar level. So in that case, samples are the number of respondent only. But in the earlier case, what used to happen if I, let's say I am male 20 student and female 20 student, total sample size is 20 plus 20, 40. But in the second case, in the paired test, if I collect the blood sugar level in any hospital, so those many respondent I collect data, that is my sample size. Though I have two sets of data point for each kind of each respondent, right? I have 40 data points. Let's say if I collect from 20 respondent blood sugar level before breakfast and after breakfast, I'll have around 40 data points, but sample size is still 20 because I have only 20 respondent. Okay, so that is how we differ independent sample and paired samples. I hope it will be a little bit more clearer when we get into an example. So today in this video, basically I'll discuss on the paired one. This is more simple than the independent samples. So let's jump into the calculation part. The first step basically to calculate the test statistics, right? Test statistics, like I said, I am comparing between like for each respondent, I'm comparing between two data points. If I take the example of blood sugar level, for each respondent I collected before breakfast blood sugar level, after breakfast blood sugar level, and I'm comparing the difference. I'm measuring the difference. What is the blood sugar level difference? Whether there is differ from breakfast and after breakfast, right? So for each respondent, I'll collect that difference level, right? So that's what it means by D. So it is actually similar to one sample t-test. Only thing how it is different from one sample t-test is here we are measuring the difference, right? In one sample t-test, we'll be measuring those values which we get. Here, extra step is we are measuring the difference. So basically, we'll calculate the average of those differences. We'll calculate the standard deviation of the differences. Again, the test statistics formula still remains same. What is my observed difference minus expected difference divided by standard error. Again, we'll be using a kind of t distribution. As you know, degrees of freedom in a t distribution will be n minus 1. Again, depending upon your kind of alpha value which you have taken, most of the cases like we discussed earlier, alpha will be 5% or 0.05. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Let's say this is the question which we want to discuss. Q student pre-class. So before start of the subject, any elective subject which you teach in our college, let's say I conducted a test randomly out of these how many 7 students. Each of them scored like this 23, 25 like this. Those 7 students scored out of 50. Okay, same student. So the point is again I am conducting a test after let's say 2 months or 3 months. Same student they scored 35, 40, 30 like that. Okay, so what it means, that student who scored 23 before the class, before the subject started, after 2 months or 3 months of taking the class, he scored 35. The student who scored 25, he later on after 2 and 3 months he scored 40. So that is the how I have collected data. So see how many data points I have. I have 7 plus 7, 14 data points. But how many samples? I have 7 samples. Those 7 students only. So that is something which you need to understand in a pair 2 sample pair test, t-test, right? I have 7 sample, so n is basically 7 and I have 14 data points. Okay, so how will I know that which kind of test, which kind of statistical test I have to use? Okay, first find out what is my research objective. Okay, what is my research objective? That is find the objective is to find out whether there is a difference in student performance in pre-class and post-class, right? So I want to find out difference. So I'll formulate the hypothesis. So like I said, null hypothesis is always a status quo. That means I am assuming there is no difference between pre-class and post-class. That means by taking the class, student did not improve his performance. Okay. So that is my null hypothesis. That is the hypothesis for status quo. What I want to prove is basically whether there is a difference. Okay. So here is the trick part. So here I have to know whether it is a whether it's a two-tail test or a one-tail test. Okay, that I'll come back later on. Again, whether it is 2 samples or 1 sample, one group of respondent, I have taken 2 measures, post-class and pre-class scores. So that's why it is a 2 sample t-test. Next question is whether it is a independent or paired. Because it is paired, because for the same sample of student, I am taking 2 scores. If I have measured, let's say male student how they scored and female student how they have scored, or different graduation background student how they scored, then it could have been a 2 sample independent sample, right? 2 sample t-test with independent samples. Here something we have to like understand that when I talk about 2 sample, it is again I'm repeating, I'm collecting sample only once, but how I am treating that, right? Again coming back to the question whether it is a one tail or two tail test, how will you know that? So if you remember earlier what we discussed, two tail test is whenever I am not bothered about whether something is greater than or lesser than, I just want to test the equality, right? So in this case population difference in means is equal to 0. So that means that is my null hypothesis. Alternate hypothesis is population difference in means is not equal to 0. That means I just want to know whether they differ or not. I'm not like kind of my objective is not to understand whether after taking class post-class course is better than pre-class course or post-class course is lesser than pre-class course. Whenever there is a directional property, that will be one tail test. Whenever there is no directional property, I do not want to test any direction, that time it will be a two tail test. So in this particular case it will be two tail test. But let me tell you like how to like conduct a one tail test. Same thing, like if let's say the objective was check that whether after taking classes the score improved by 5 marks or the score improved by 3 marks, then what would have been my alternate hypothesis, the population difference in means is greater than 3 or greater than 5 marks. So that would have been my alternate hypothesis. In that case, it would have been a one-tailed test, right? Because I'm measuring the directional property. And my null hypothesis would have been the population difference in mean is less than equal to 3 marks or 5 marks. Okay. So that's how we define one-tailed and two-tailed test. Let's get into a calculation part. So these are the scores which we have each student have got. So I calculated the difference. I just subtracted 35 minus 23. These are the differences. Then I calculated the square of difference from the average. So that means 12 minus 10.43 square of that. For each student I calculated that. That gave me the sum of square of differences. Then divided by number of samples minus 1, that is 6, because I'm calculating standard deviation for the sample, right? And square root of that if I take, so that will give me the variance 277.71 divided by 6, that will give me the variance. Square root of that will give me the standard deviation. Okay, so I hope everybody knows how to calculate sample standard deviation and sample standard variance. Okay, so once I calculate the standard deviation, the formula again still remains same. So what is the observed difference? Observed difference I got 10.43. What is my expected difference? Expected difference is mu d, right? Expected difference is here 0. Why it is 0? Because my null hypothesis says that both are equal. So always know hypothesis testing is a conditional probability test. What is the condition? Condition is your null hypothesis is true. What is my null hypothesis? In this case, I assume my population difference of means is 0. So that's why mu d is equal to 0. Let's say, but if my objective is to understand whether it is greater than 5 marks, then in that case the observed difference would have been 3 marks or 5 marks, right? So in that case I could have subtracted 10.43 minus 5. Okay, but in this particular case I just want to understand whether there is a difference in scores, right? So that's why I'm taking mu d as 0. So 10.43 minus 0 divided by standard deviation, I got it as 6.80 divided by square root of 7, square root of n. So here the point, like we discussed earlier, n will be 7, not 14, right? 14 data points, but sample size is still 7. That will give me a test statistics of 4.05. Then I'll go and find the critical value. To find critical value, I need two kind of parameters. One is degrees of freedom, second is alpha or level of significance. Because I am conducting a two-tailed test. For two-tailed test, you see the value at alpha by 2. Alpha by 2 is 0.025. Degrees of freedom is 6 because my sample size is 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. So if I check the value, my critical value is 2.447. So as my t statistics is greater than critical value, so I can reject my null hypothesis. That means there is a difference in post-class score and pre-class score. But I am not telling whether post-class course is greater than pre-class score. It can be less than also, right? So that I am not making any inference. I am just telling it is different than the pre-class course. If I would have done a one-tailed test, then that inference I could have made. How to do it in Excel? Again, like there is a go and put it these data points in Excel, select the point t-test pair to sample for means. If the data analysis pack is not there, go to file, options, manage add-ins, add the analysis tool pack. So in the tab in Excel tab, go to data analysis, select the t-test pair to sample for means, select the variable one range is post class course, variable 2 range is pre-class course, my alpha is 0.05, select your output range, and that will give me this output. So t statistics which we have found out earlier in manual calculation as 4.05 and critical two-tail value is 2.44. Because my t statistics same result which we got through manual calculation, because my t statistics is greater than critical value, that is it is true that there is a difference between post-class course and pre-class course. This is what, like we discussed, this is a two-tailed test, right? So I'm not bothered about whether it is greater than or lesser than. If my objective is to find out whether it is greater than 5 marks, then I would have put this my hypothesized mean difference as 5 mark, 5, then could have conducted a T critical one-tailed test, then whatever result I could have got, I would have made that inference. So we'll stop here now. Please check out the next video on two sample t-test for independent samples. Thank you.